All right, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. Coming to you live here from the GAMA convention in Reno, Nevada, bringing you all the board game coverage, behind-the-scenes news, and interesting tidbits throughout the week. But let's get some introductions out of the way first. As usual, I'm your host, Matt, and I'm joined here with Andrew from USAopoly. How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So first and foremost, how's the con treating you so far?
It's been good. It's been a lot of fun. It's been nice to be in Reno. Changing the scenery a little bit, so getting a little bit of a fresh perspective, but still seeing all the familiar faces. So some old, some new, but we are still here, just making and selling and celebrating games.
Absolutely. So let's just dive right into it now. USAopoly has been phenomenal and partnered with us on numerous occasions now to bring some really cool spotlights to y'all watching at home. But as per usual, we got some new stuff to show off on the stream for you. So first and foremost, what have you got to show off for us today, Andrew?
What we have here is Samurai Jack. Back to the Past.
Fantastic.
So
I was a big Samurai Jack fan back
awesome.
in the day.
Great.
I haven't seen any of the new stuff, but I am super excited to see what this game is all about. And from what I'm seeing of what's laid on the table right now, it's very pretty and keeps to the style of the anime.
Yes, very much so. So this is a game we're putting out under Project Raygun, which is our sort of signature boutique brand. That very much is celebrating art and artistry. IPs with really compelling visuals that tell a really fun story in a way that feels very true and authentic to that brand that we're working with. So in this case, it's Samurai Jack. In the past, we've done our partnership with the Mondo Tees for The Thing, Infection, and Outpost 31, and we also have some other new initiatives coming up for Project Raygun that I think we're going to be sharing on the stream in just a little bit. So yeah, we're really excited about Project Raygun and the kind of opportunities it's presenting to us as a company to kind of get outside of our comfort zone and do some fun stuff in a really compelling and immersive way.
Fantastic. Samurai Jack, I feel like, is definitely one of the mediums that lends itself to board games pretty well, because it has some very striking visuals within the show itself, and a lot of static images that are very focused on. So I think it's pretty cool that we can take that anime, transition it into the board game that we see here. But what kind of board game is this? What are we looking at, the core components of it? What's the main driving mechanisms of this game?
Sure. So the game combines two different mechanisms in action selection, where you're playing as these characters accompanying Jack on his journey to try and defeat Aku, combined with some set collection. So what you can see here is sort of a preview of the setup of the game board, and I'll kind of finish out the setup and then talk you through some of the mechanics and what you're going to be doing in the game.
Fantastic.
All right, so the game includes 15 of these location tiles.
And you're going to look close-up of those too on this camera here. So, for example, here we've got city. I'm going to pass over field because that is all green. We've also got jungle, and we've got desert.
Right, and again, everything you see here from our perspective is all stuff taken directly from the show. So it's got all those beautiful, great landscapes, compelling visuals that really make a great immersive experience for Samurai Jack fans. The way this gets set up is you take these tiles, and they're variable in nature, so you can recreate this path that you're going to be taking your adventure on, which creates a lot of replayability for the game, which is a really fun element. You're going to lay these tiles out to build this path, to set it up. We'll put that one there. That one goes there. And it's kind of nice because you can kind of customize it to your table space. You don't have to feel like you have to confine it, and you can kind of just
into a big square that we need to have.
Exactly. And then at the end of the path, you're going to be placing one of these villains that you're going to be facing down.
Okay, so
you want to show off a couple of those?
Let me show off a couple of those in the screen here. So we've got the Daughters of Aku here. And we've also got, well, Aku.
Of course. Yeah, so the game is played over 3 rounds, and over the first 2 rounds, you're going to be trying to defeat some of these villains, eventually making your way to defeating Aku. Along the way, you're going to be trying to collect honor points through a variety of means. Again, the primary mechanism of the game is through action selection. So each player is going to be playing as one of Jack's companions, his friends that he's met along the way. So if you want to kind of share some of this off, I'm not going to.
Sure thing. So this one's going to look really odd because of the green, so I'll skip over that. But we got the Scotsman. That's what I'm skipping over there. We've also got Max, and that's the yellow's green screening a little bit on that one. Sir Rothschild.
The canine archaeologist.
Monkey Man.
My personal favorite, Jump Good.
Ashi.
Yeah.
And I'll show it off anyways, but keep in mind it's the see-through from the green screen there. Yeah, that's the Scotsman.
But that's appropriate because, and again, you said you haven't watched the 5th season?
I have not.
Well, spoiler a little bit, he's a ghost in the 5th season. That's why he's blue tone there. So it's actually kind of appropriate that he has that translucent nature to him.
I was wondering why he was blue. That makes sense.
Yeah, he's actually a ghost version of himself. His physical form has died, but he's still around in spirit to help Jack. That's why he's got that blue tone to him. So the
awesome.
Translucency there really works nicely. So each player is going to be playing as one of these characters, and so you're going to collect that character card. You might be Ashi. I always choose Monkey Man because he's my favorite. And then you've got these awesome movers that you're going to use as you advance your characters along the path.
Now, are they going to come in the game like this, painted, colored?
Yes.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yes,
these are so pretty.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I have to show off Monkey Man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You have to. You got to get him in there. He's so cool.
Going from this one, which is so dainty and petite, and then there's just this Monkey Man.
Right, and of course you've got Jack and Aku. I mean, what is a Samurai Jack game without?
I mean, yeah, you have
your protagonist and antagonist.
Very awesome.
Right, and then as everyone's chosen their character, they're also going to get a hand of 5 movement cards that are going to be used basically as your action selection. So I would have 5, you would have 5.
And these are character specific?
Well, they're all actually exactly the same. So everybody has a set of 5, one of each of the locations.
Okay.
So it's known information that everyone can kind of track. You're going to set up the characters sort of randomly at the start of the path as we're going to make our way along to try and get to the villain.
So we're traveling with Jack.
We are traveling with Jack. So nobody plays as Jack. Nobody plays as Aku. We're all his companions trying to help him on his quest to defeat Aku. So at the beginning of the 5th season, Jack has been stuck in the future for so long. He's starting to lose hope, despair that he'll never complete his mission. He'll never defeat Aku and get back to the past. So we're trying to help him do that by accompanying him on this journey to eventually defeat Aku. The way in which you're going to do that is by collecting support cards that we're going to deal out to these spaces on the game board. And if you want to maybe show off a couple of those while I put them on the board.
So we've got here the Canine Archaeologist, Jack's Kimono, Compassion, Giant Bird, Motorcycle. This one's going to green screen nice. It actually looks really cool though. Ra, Robots. And what are these cards going to do here?
So these support cards are weapons, allies, and traits that you are trying to collect. So that's where the set collection aspect of the game comes into play. Because when you advance to a location, you're going to be able to choose one of the support cards on that given location. And the goal is to try and complete sets that you can turn in when you reach the villain to help defeat the villain. And then you're going to earn points for doing that. So if I travel along this path and manage to collect a trait card and an ally card, and it can be any one of those in the mix, I'm going to earn 3 honor points. If I can get 2 weapons and an ally, I can earn 5, and 2 traits and 2 allies, I earn 8.
And I see there's some modifiers here if there's different numbers of players in the game as well.
Yes, so the game plays 2 to 5 players, so this opens up spots, because each of these spots could only be claimed by one player once. So there's sort of a racing element to it where you're trying to balance how quickly you can collect the cards required to defeat the villain, and make sure you get there in time first to contribute those cards to the effort.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of strategic elements, even though the mechanics are really very simple in nature, that create some really fun gameplay. So we're set up, we're ready to start. We've got the support cards seated on the board, we've got our characters, we have a villain, we have a path laid out, and then what we're going to do each round is first reveal a movement card for Jack.
Okay. So in this case, he's going to go to ruins.
Yep, so he advances to the ruins. Now, we all simultaneously choose one of these movement cards from our hand.
Okay.
And that's going to determine where we are going to go. And what you're looking at is what cards are available. These are the only cards that are going to be available for this round. So once a location is depleted, there's nothing left to collect there. The three different types of cards are in limited quantity, so we're going to be kind of trying to track what each of us individually are trying to collect to see what we can get to help defeat the villain at the end of the track.
Okay.
So we're going to choose one of these. We're going to put it face down. And I might say, I'll go here, and you go there. Then we simultaneously reveal.
So in this case, I played field,
and I played desert. Right. So you would advance to the field.
Okay.
I would advance to the desert. Then Aku is not going to be left behind. He's not going to let us just kind of run around freely. We reveal for Aku. Aku also goes to the desert. So as you might imagine, that's not very good for me.
Yeah, if the main antagonist is following you around, I have a feeling that there's some negative things that are going to happen to you there.
Yes, exactly. So we've resolved all our movement, and now we track the actions of the character, starting with the character at the front of the path. So basically, you're in the field, so you can collect one of those two support cards from that field's location.
So if multiple characters were to have gone to the field, what happens then?
Well, you notice that each spot can hold up to 3 characters. So in the order from first to last, they collect. So if, in the case here, if there were 2 different ones, you would get to choose first, and then whoever else was there would get the second one. And if there were 3 people there and there's only 2 cards available, the third person would get nothing.
So how do you determine which spot you're going into when you're moving into those spaces there?
Players always move from the player furthest back on the path to the front of the path. So in the next round, I would advance first, so I would be the first to go to location, then the next player, and the next player. So movement is resolved. Movement is resolved from person in last place to person in first place, and then collection happens from person in first to last.
Gotcha.
It creates some balance of the ability to get to a location first or collect from the location first, and that's some of the strategy that gets involved in the gameplay.
Okay.
So you would collect.
I'll take a bow and arrow then.
Great. So that means that you probably are trying to find 2 weapons and an ally.
Maybe. Don't give away my strategy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're looking at the kind of sets you need to collect here, so that's probably the one you're going after.
Yeah.
I would collect, but because Aku is here, he is messing with me, and I don't get anything.
Oh, you can't collect.
I don't get anything.
So I got a question for you here. I see that some of those cards up there actually have your character's icon next to the type of card that it is.
That's very perceptive.
What does that mean?
It means if I can collect this card and turn it as part of a set, I'm going to get some bonus points.
Oh.
So this is sort of like, this is my weapon. So when I get to wield it, it gives me some extra points when I redeem it at the end. But you can still collect it and use it. So sometimes there's strategy about looking at where other players' cards are, and maybe you're like, I don't really need that card, but I don't want you to get it because I know it's better for you.
Right.
Versus, well, I'm okay with you having that because it means I'm going to be getting something else that I need for my set. So there's a lot of interplay there in the decisions about where you're advancing to, what cards you're collecting, keeping an eye on what other people are trying to collect along the way, so that you can maximize your points. Because at the end, the player who can collect the most honor points is the one who is deemed the victor. Basically, they've helped Jack the most in his mission, in his quest to defeat Aku and get back to the past.
Gotcha.
One other thing, if Jack is unaccompanied, basically he's in a location by himself, as he's slowly going insane, as he's been stuck in the future for so long, the sanity meter advances. And if it advances too far, all players lose, as basically Jack is driven mad.
Oh.
So there are motivations to sometimes stay with Jack. You don't always have to, but at a certain point, it's going to get kind of precarious. And so there's a little bit of a collaborative, cooperative nature. It's like, are you going to go stay with Jack? You might not want to, because that might not be the location you want to go to, but you do balance that somebody needs to be with him.
You still don't want to lose.
You still don't want to lose. Yeah. And that's very much in the story of the 5th season, where Jack has to really rally with the support of his friends that he's made along the way, and they are kind of helping keep him on the path and on the straight and narrow.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah. So that's how a turn works. And once you've played a movement card, it's set aside, and you cannot use it again until...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's where some of the strategy comes in, and you realize, well, I can't get back to another fields location until one of 2 things happen. Either you've played all the rest of your movement cards, and then you just get to pick all of them up, or when you play the card that correlates to your color, like if I go to the jungle, then I get to pick up all of my cards. So 2 ways to pick them back up.
okay.
Then I refresh. But otherwise, if I went to the desert and then I went to the fields and then I went to the city, like you would know, because this is all public information, what my options are.
So
and so
your refresh is coming up possibly.
Exactly.
Where you're gonna be going.
And where I can't go. So it might be safe. You're just like, well, I know you can't go to the desert, so I know I can go there safely.
And I'll get the resource before you.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's how turns proceed when a character reaches the end of the path and faces down the villain. If they've collected the appropriate matching set, they turn those cards in and immediately earn honor points. A couple other things can happen. If Aku gets here first, he actually occupies one of the spots and blocks the ability of a player to collect points.
Oh man!
Yeah.
So which one would he go into first?
He always goes into the lowest scoring one still available.
Okay.
So if you got here and then collected those 3 points, and Aku got there before me or Jack, he would occupy this space. And then if that meant that I don't have that set, I get here, but I don't have anything to contribute to the fight, so I'm not going to earn any points for that round.
Okay. So how do we actually defeat the end boss here?
Well, it's all a goal of turning in support cards to try and earn honor points. And then just collect those as you advance to the next round. Okay. So once we reach the end of the path, Jack is also going to be there, so he's going to be considered basically victorious in defeating that villain. We're just trying to contribute to help him in that mission.
We're just trying to get the honor points while he does the dirty work.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And then we reset. So you hold on to any cards you've collected, so you don't have to lose them. You can take them into the next round as you try and fight the next villain. You can rebuild the path, so the gameplay can change from round to round because these tiles are all interchangeable, which means that there's a lot of variability to gameplay, and no 2 games or rounds are ever the same because you can't predict how the path is going to lay out. And then you do that over the course of 3 rounds, and then whoever has the most honor points at the end of the game is going to win.
Fantastic, easy enough.
Yeah, so it's very simple in its mechanics, but it has a lot of interesting strategic depth as you're evaluating the actions of the other players, looking at what they're collecting, looking at what you need, looking at what's out there, making sure that Jack's okay and that he's not going to go insane, with Aku bouncing around and messing with you all the while.
And the mild collaborative aspect as well, where we're trying to keep Jack from going insane.
Absolutely.
All right, so is there anything else that you wanted to tell us about Samurai Jack Back to the Past?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. It will be available in probably late July or early August is what we're looking at the on-shelf date for it, and it will be retailing for $34.95.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think we did mention that these figures all come fully painted.
Yeah, they're really pretty too.
Yeah, so you get some, we showed them all off. I think there's 7 great collector pieces in total that you get with Jack, Aku, and then the 5 other characters, the playable characters. All the art you see is featured from the series, so it's really a great celebration of the art, the imagery, the characters, and the story of Samurai Jack.
Fantastic. And if I had to ask you, what is one of your favorite aspects of this game that really just you really love playing because of this particular thing? Is there one, or is you just love the game in general?
I mean, I love the game in general, but it's kind of my baby because I was the lead designer on this project. So, but to highlight one thing that I think is particularly interesting, I really like the interplay of like the movement mechanic and the sort of simultaneous action and the kind of the light bluffing you get as you try and evaluate what everybody's going to take for their actions. Even though everybody only has at most a selection of 5 different movement actions, there's a lot of interplay between players in some sort of light bluffing elements that adds a lot of fun strategic depth. So I think I particularly like how it's very simple in its presentation and its mechanics, but is surprisingly deep in its strategy.
Yeah, from the look of it, it's a very approachable game when you see it on the table, to just be able to go up and see what's going on relatively easily. But just the brief playthrough that we had here, it's got some nice strategic elements that you could really slow down and think and execute your master plan. Yeah,
it looks very simple, but when we've been playing and developing and testing, I think people come away with a surprising amount of depth that they experience out of the game. And And I really am also just a huge fan of Samurai Jack too, so it was sort of a point of personal pride to be able to work on a project like this and kind of celebrate my passion for the show and the characters in what I think is a really fun and innovative way. And I believe that this is the first and only licensed Samurai Jack game on the market. So it's kind of a special privilege and honor to take a beloved franchise and translate it to a tabletop experience.
So speak to me a little bit more about what it's like to take an IP that's something that you're really familiar with and you really love, and to design a game around it. Are you searching to tailor the elements of the game to the story as you know it?
Yes, absolutely. And there are a number of really diehard Samurai Jack fans back in the office that we all work together to kind of collaborate and figure out how do we best embrace the story and the characters in a really compelling way. And there are a lot of conversations about, well, it's a Samurai Jack game. Does that mean that somebody gets to play a Samurai Jack? Are people just going to fight over the character, and that's going to create an imbalance? So maybe we need to come up with something where no one gets to be Jack and everyone is helping Jack. And that very much was true to the story of the 5th and final season, which is really where used a launching point to kind of design the backdrop for the game, because it really is all about all of Jack's friends coming together to help him get back on the path and defeat Aku. So it is a lot about talking about the story, embracing the story, finding something mechanically that works for it, but feels very much in line with those thematic elements that you're trying to embrace.
Very cool. So, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate this sneak peek here at the Samurai Jack Back to the Past. And thank all of you for watching at home. Stay tuned for more coverage coming to you throughout the con this week. More inside scoops and information from behind the scenes here at the GAMA convention in Reno, Nevada. Stay tuned. As usual, I'm Matt. Thanks again, Andrew.
Thank you.